Now, the suspect's name was in a U.S. database of people potentially involved with terrorists. Now, a Brooklyn lawmaker is pushing for more drastic measures. He's introducing a bill that would legalize racial profiling. Chris Glorioso is live now at Grand Central Terminal with more on that. Chris, what can you tell us tonight?
Well, Peter, ever since the London train bombings, the NYPD has been conducting random bag searches at transportation hubs like Grand Central Terminal. This bill would give police the power to use race as one factor in determining whose bag to search. It is certainly politically incorrect, but the bill's sponsor says it is practically common sense.
They all fit a certain profile, young Muslim men of Middle Eastern or South Asian background.
The idea is not new. Assemblyman Dov Hikind unsuccessfully pitched a profiling bill back in 2005. The botched Christmas Day bomb plot, he believes, will convince lawmakers and the public the time has come for policing agencies to use ethnicity as a factor in determining who should be stopped and searched.
If those involved in acts of terrorism were people with yarmulkes and beards over the past couple of years, I would stand here and tell you that people with beards and yarmulkes should be investigated, should be targeted specifically because they fit the profile.
Hikind's profiling bill would apply only to police agencies in New York State, but he hopes it provokes pro-profiling movements nationwide. Islamic groups say singling out Arabs or Southeast Asian Muslims would be ineffective. Umar Farouk Abdul-Muttalab, after all, was Nigerian.
Eric Rudolph would not have been caught. Timothy McVeigh would not have been caught. Jose Padilla would not have been caught. And this Nigerian fellow probably would not have been caught unless he goofed up.
The state assembly profiling bill would allow police to use ethnicity as a factor in determining who to stop and frisk, as long as ethnicity isn't the only consideration.
I think it's a little ridiculous because where does that stop? Then they can just frisk anyone, you know.
I would say that it's okay, only because I would accept that for myself.
Profiling supporters say universities use race as a factor in admissions decisions, so there should be no constitutional challenge to using race in anti-terror campaigns.
If there's a compelling interest to admit students to university, I would think that when it comes to terrorism, when it comes to protecting Americans, that there is surely a compelling governmental interest.
Islam is a religion of peace. People try to demonize it, but there are failures in every single faith. You know, there's 1.4 billion Muslims around the world, and what this legislation is asking is that 1.4 billion people be profiled, which is an outrage.
Opposition from Islamic groups is not the only reason this bill will have a very difficult time getting through the state legislature. As we've said, it did not pass the last time it was brought up, and you have to consider this. It gives police the power to consider race not only in terrorism investigations, but really in any sort of investigation, and it will be very difficult for any lawmaker representing a minority neighborhood to vote for something that includes racial profiling, Peter.